What up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Pretty Girl Progression Podcast. I am your girl, Sherelle. Now, if you are new here, welcome. I hope you stay. And if you've been here before, girl, welcome back. And as always, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. That is the house rules. Like, comment, and subscribe. And also, tell a friend to tell a friend. Now, ladies, I have created something super special for you, which is a daily devotional. Not only is it mixed with my favorite affirmation and biblical verses to match, but it's also a personal message from me to you on each page. I've also created a free ebook, 10 Tips to Personal Development. We talk everything about grounding, doing your mirror work, and overall just self-love. Why? Because self-love is the best love. Now, you can find this at www.prettygirlprogression.com today. And to be honest, it helps keep the lights on, as well as me put on great events for my ladies in the community. Now, all that is out the way. I have a very, 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 very special guest that I've been excited to have on the show for a while. Not only I would consider her a part-time comedian, but she's not really a comedian, but she's hella funny. She is a mother. She is a wife. She is a wealth strategist, a businesswoman, and overall a true gem. Y'all, help me give a round of applause for Mariana Amilcar. Well, hello there, babe. How are you?
How are you?
I am amazing. You are glowing. I'm so happy that you are here.
Thank you. Thank you. I really feel the pressure because you said I was like really funny. I don't see myself that way, but we're going to do our best. We're going to do our best.
You've never heard anyone say that you were hilarious?
Well, people tell, yeah, I guess people tell me that, but like now I feel like I have to be funny. So.
No. That's just between us. So for people who do not know you, Mariana, I want them to know just a little bit about how we met, but then I also want to go into like who you are at your core and really your childhood. So me and Mariana met at a content creator event. And yes. I'll let you tell this story. I'll let you tell how we met.
I'm so glad you asked me that question. I was like, I hope she asked me this question because the way we met is so... Listen, first of all, shout out to the content creators. Love them. Love what they do. I'm in South Florida, but Miami is like probably like an hour from me. And every time they put something together, if I can go, I'm like, I don't care. I'm going to go. So anyways, I one of their events out in Miami. And of course I got there very early. And I remember when I saw you, Sherelle, well, hold on. Let me see if I remember the first encounter. Okay. So I went to get some food. You know, if there's an event, I'm going to like first find some food. I got my food and there was limited seating, which I know they do on purpose because they want people to mingle or whatever.
For sure.
Like one open table and you were sitting by yourself. And I had met you before that. I think Evelyn had introduced us, but very briefly. And you seemed nice. You had a friendly face. So I was like, oh, okay. She seems cool. Let me go sit with her. But when we sat down and of course I was like, oh, is this open? And you were so nice. Like I remember your energy was so magnetic. Like I was like, oh, I want to talk to this girl. And we talked for a while. I know you asked me a lot of questions and it's so funny how you were like, I want to have you on a podcast. And here we are. Look at that.
Crazy. That was like a year or so ago. Like, because I always told you have like this podcast voice. You have this very... Like I could listen to you for hours. Very assertive, very sure of yourself, very clear. I love it. Yeah, which is wild. And I was all in your business that day. We're gonna get into the certain questions that I was asking you, but we basically are connected through being Haitian for the most part. Yeah. So Mariana, let's get into your childhood. What was young Mariana like?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so well, first of all, I could talk. So if I'm going too long, like please just stop me because I will go and go and go. Um, but yeah, I come from a huge family. I'm one of 8 kids. I'm actually number 4, and my parents are from Venezuela. But I was born and raised in a really small town called Bedford, in Massachusetts, and it was an interesting dynamic because like here we are, this huge Latino family in like a really, really small suburb of Boston. And there was like there might have been like 2 Latino families in the community. So I didn't grow up like speaking Spanish or any of those things. Like I got that part of the culture when I moved to Florida. Which is funny. I think a lot of people can relate to that too. Like if your parents come from another country and all the other people from that country, how come you don't speak the language? How come you don't speak the language?
Girl, story of my life right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But if your whole environment is people who only speak English, like so anyway, I grew up like that with, like I said, a huge family. Definitely shaped who I am today in so many ways. Played a lot of sports. I love sports. I am a huge sports fanatic. I played soccer, basketball, pretty much through high school. I didn't play in college, but I definitely still follow a lot of sports, football and basketball and that kind of thing. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't know if that's what you were looking for, but yeah, it's a little bit about my childhood.
So let me ask you this because I remember you mentioned what you do now. You're a wealth strategist, right?
Yeah,
But you mentioned before, I don't remember where I was listening. I think it was a content. It was one of your events, a panel that you recently was on, and you said how your parents was in the wealth business.
right, right, right.
Okay, so that's how you kind of got into like becoming a wealth strategist.
Right. So, yeah, so like my whole life, really actually since before I was born, my parents started a business together in financial services and really built it together. And if to be completely honest, my mom took more of like the management side of things, but I mean, you have 8 kids, like that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Anyway, together they built a pretty successful business, and then when I was 19, I ended up getting involved with them, just kind of part time. I mean, I don't know if you want me to talk about that, but I can talk about how I started working with them, which is kind of
Well,
interesting.
we'll get into that as well, but I just remember the correlation. That's why I was like, how did she get into this? Now, you
Yeah.
have, wow, 8 siblings. Like you're one of 8 siblings. I come from a lot of siblings. What is that like? Like you have a
Oh,
whole village.
it's fun. It's fun. Like especially now, because the thing is, like now the kids are having kids, right? So, like I have 2, one on the way. My sister, yeah, my sisters have like 3 and 4. My brother has 5. So it's 18 grandkids. So
Whoa,
the cool thing about being part of a big family is like they grow exponentially, right? So when we all
for
get to
sure.
yeah, most of those 18 grandkids are, I would say like 12 of the 18 are under 5. So when
Whoa.
we get together, it's freaking crazy. It's crazy, crazy, crazy,
Yeah.
crazy. A lot of noise, like toys and balls thrown everywhere.
I
But
love that though. I
we have,
love that.
yeah.
Oh, Auntie Mariana. So, okay. So we also connected like, through content creation, right? And I don't know if I ever told you about Pretty Girl Progression, but I want to ask you, when you hear Pretty Girl Progression, what does that mean to you? What is Pretty Girl
Oh,
Progression to you?
I knew you were gonna ask me this. So I think I've said this to you before. When it comes to like personal growth and development, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people don't know this. That is a spiritual need that we all have,
Mm,
men and women. My father taught me this, that there's like basic human needs that we all have, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but the last two is growth and contribution. So when I think contribution, meaning like what you can contribute to other people and give to other people.
absolutely.
But when I think of growth, I think it's we're all a work in progress, right? And we have this fundamental human need to want to get better in every area of our life. Like you can try to ignore it, but you're not satisfying that piece of the spirit if you're not moving forward little by little every day, you know? So
Yeah.
it's like pretty girl, you know, that piece of it, or like in a feminine way, is just kind of like, I look at it as, hey, let's all embrace each other's strengths, weaknesses, and show compassion, understanding that we're all on this journey of a spiritual growth. So,
Yeah, for sure.
but yeah, that's how I think of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, embracing this personal development and spiritual growth, can you talk about a time where, in a sense, you kind of was just moving through life, you haven't really grasped the like spiritual part maybe, or you haven't grasped the personal development, but you were kind of just going through life, and what did that look like as a young woman going
Yeah.
into womanhood?
I mean, I think the first thing that comes to mind, or the first time that comes to mind, was like just before I made the decision I was going to go into business for myself. So I was very young. I was in college. I was going to school for nursing. I know you're going to ask me about this
You
later. So
were?
yeah, yeah.
Wow. I'm trying to picture you right now.
No,
Okay, okay.
no, not me. I know it's a job that we need good nurses, but not me. But anyway, yeah. So I was going to school for nursing, and not because like I always dreamed to be a nurse, but I had a lot of friends that were a little older that were in that field, and they seemed to be doing okay. Like they found jobs very quickly out of school. So I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And
Mm-hmm.
hey, I guess I'll do this. But I figured out very quickly that it was like not at all for me. I was like, man, what am I going to do with my life? And I was one of those kids that I was very talented. Like I was good when I played sports. I excelled at that. In school, I was good, like academically. I had a lot of friends. I was very popular. So,
I could see that
but
for sure.
I had like everybody who I respected was telling me like, "Oh, the sky's the limit, and you're gonna do amazing things." So I was like, "Damn, I have no idea, what I'm gonna do with my life." I think that's something people experience. Like, you don't have to be 18, 19 to experience. I think some people experience that in their 30s, where they're like, "There's got to be like more to life
For
than what
sure.
I'm doing now." Um, I don't even know if that's answering your question, but you asked me like kind of where did I feel lost, or like,
Yes.
and that was 100%. That was a time that I really felt kind of lost in my journey and what I was going to do. Yeah.
Man, it's always the hardest thing, like trying to figure out what do you want to do. And then you have the pressure, especially could be being Caribbean, like you have the pressure of like, you better be a doctor, you better be a lawyer, you better, so I can only imagine what it's like. And a nurse for you? Do you even like blood?
I mean, I'm not. No, it's not that I like blood, but I'm not squeamish. Yeah, I grew up taking care of all my little brothers, and then older siblings having babies and taking care of their babies, and so I've seen all like the gross stuff and taking care of people, and so I was like, I guess I could do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Let me ask you this. What advice would you give to somebody who is struggling with their path and how to navigate that?
I would say seek mentorship. And
Mm-hmm.
careful like who you seek out. Like I know for me, my father, I talk about my parents a lot because they're like huge influences on my life. But I looked at their life and I was like, that's what I want. Like I want the kind of marriage they have, not necessarily 8 kids, uh, but I wanted. I could see that they had money and the success and the lifestyle, but had like a great life. And I was like, dang, I want that. So I sought mentorship from them, and I didn't get it right away, but a lot of the things that especially my father, that he would teach me, eventually I listened and was like, okay, I want to like lock arms with you and learn from you. So, I would say look for people that like they have what you want, they have the life you want, they have the things you desire, and seek mentorship. They say you can't solve a problem at the same level of consciousness that created it. And so
Wow.
Yeah. So you need, a lot of times you need somebody to help you bring your consciousness to the next level to be able to get out of the situation that you're in. And for me, that was my parents.
Ooh, I love that. Okay, so now you're 19, you're seeking mentorship from your parents. And
Yeah.
so how did you really dive deep into it? You've gotten lessons from your dad and your parents. Like, how did you really dive into becoming a wealth strategist underneath their mentorship?
Well, so at first I wasn't like 100% sure that that was what I wanted to do. Um,
Okay.
yeah, so I was still in school. I worked at a restaurant on the weekends. I hated that.
Shout out to the waitresses and the bartenders. Like, it's a different
Yes,
kind of appreciation for y'all.
yes, yes, yes. Listen, I have like a personal rule. I don't know if I've ever said this to you, but like a good litmus test of like how good of a person somebody is how they treat bartenders, servers. Like if I go out with you and I see that you are rude or you're not nice to, oh, forget about it. We're not going to hang out again. Like,
Yeah.
anyway, I don't want to go off on. So I did that. And then I was still going to school full time, but I wanted to learn as much as I could from my dad. So I would like every waking minute that I had available, I was with him. Like I would come to the office, I would learn from him, I would like see what he did with his with clients and stuff like that. And I was like, I could do this. Like I could what I thought the finance industry was like a lot of numbers and facts and figures. And I was like, that's not me. I'm a people person. I like dealing with people. But what I learned from him was like, and I don't want to get too in depth with this, but in the industry, it's so corrupt. Like there's a lot of people that are really screwed when it comes to different financial products that are not in their best interest. And the way he would help them, where it wasn't like he would always make the most money, but he was doing the right thing for them. And I could see how he was helping people change their lives. I was like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
So we just spent a lot of time together. And I think the more I was immersed in that environment, the more like I was like, okay, I really want to do this. I got my licenses. I started making a little money, and then later transition full time. That's another story, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about that. So I was recently, preparing for this episode with you, right?
Yeah.
And I asked someone, what would you want to know from like a wealth strategist or a financial advisor? What's the terminology? Are you like wealth strategist or financial advisors? Same thing.
Yeah, basically the same. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Which is another word you could say, but yeah.
So somebody said, so I need some money. Wait, I need money so I can get the advice from you. What do you say to people who says, I need the money so then I can go ask you for the advice?
Okay, let me make sure I understand the question because you kind of froze for a second. So the person was saying that they don't have the money to pay for advice.
Right. They don't have the money. They need the money in order to talk to you. What do you say? Or has anyone ever come to you and like, girl, I can't really talk to you because my money's funny right now.
Yeah,
What do
yeah.
you say to them?
So
They ain't got two dimes to rub together. What do you say?
that happens all the time. I think so. It depends. Okay, first of all, let me just get this out of the way. If somebody just wants like to have a conversation, they want general advice. I'm really big on education. I don't have a problem to sit down with you if you're like, oh, how do stocks work? How do bonds work? Like, I don't have a problem to sit down and explain to you how that stuff works. I don't charge. A lot of people charge like a consultation fee or like kind of like an attorney would, a retainer fee per hour. I don't
Yeah.
do that. So if someone said that, I would just straight up just be like, oh, you want to just learn? Okay, no problem. Like, let's talk. What do you want to learn about? And you don't have to pay me anything for that. We get paid. I don't want to get too in depth with this. I get paid from the companies I represent if you needed a specific product from them. So if it's just
Okay.
advice, it's free.
I
Okay,
love
everybody.
that.
The other thing I will say is people can do a lot more than they think with a little bit of money. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and it's not everyone's fault. It's the industry's fault. Like if you I will say this very honestly. If you go to any bank and you ask for, like, let's say you only had $100 a month to put away, and you went to any bank and you said, look, I want to save my money, but I want it to grow. Like, I don't really know how that stuff works. What can you help me with? Like, how can you help my money to work for me?
Yeah.
I'm going to be straight up with you. Most banks, you need to have a good amount of cash for them to put you in some kind of investment vehicle. They're not going to do it for $100 a month. I sat with a banker once, and I'm not afraid to say this because this is the truth. I sat with a banker once that
Let
told
them
me,
know, Mariana. Let them know.
oh my gosh, I was so insulted by this. But I know the industry, so I was like, I want to hear from you directly because it was a personal banker. I said,
Yeah.
what would you do if I only had like $50 a month or $100 a month? And he was like, well, to be honest, unless someone has like 100 grand to invest, we're probably going to put them in a savings account or a CD or a money market. And so
Wow.
my answer was like, okay, well, is there a reason for that? And this is what he said. He said, well, let's be real. Somebody who doesn't have that kind of money probably wouldn't understand, the risks associated or how the market works. So I'm like, okay, so how much money do I need to have the mental capacity? Like, that's crazy. You're basically saying I'm not intelligent enough unless I have.
Yeah.
And look, I'm not saying like this guy I just didn't like, but I know a lot of people in the industry that are good people. But the financial institutions have rules in place where you have to have maybe 100,000, 250,000, whatever. So I can help people like that person that only has $100 a month or $50 a month. Now I don't want to, obviously I have higher net worth clients that have a lot more money to invest, but people could do a lot more than they think with a little bit of money. They're just held back by their own mindset and belief, like, oh, that's for those people, it's not for me. Do you get what I'm trying to?
Yeah. Of course, of course. So, what are some, like, I know you're not going to give us all of it, and I'm not expecting that, but what are some tips and tricks for people who their money's funny, but they know they want to have like a strategy going for themselves? What are some tips and tricks you can let us know?
I mean, some simple things would be, this is like very, very basic personal finance, but start with emergency savings. Like, if you don't have like 3 months of your bills saved, you should be, I know people are going to hate me for this, but it's the truth. Like,
The
some
truth
people,
is the truth.
I see some people going out every weekend. They're popping bottles. They have the whole, you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
get me wrong. Like, you have to have fun. You have to enjoy life. But like, my husband and I remember when we would do a lot of free things, okay, because we were focused on building our assets. Like, at a minimum, you should have 3 months of your bills saved. And if that's hard for you, like if you're someone who struggles with saving and investing, um, this is a really simple mindset shift. But most people, they get paid, right, and they pay all their bills. And if there's any money left over, then they save. And that crap does not work. Like, let's just be real, it doesn't work. If you look
Yep.
at all the money you made for the last 10 years, oof, if you made like 50 grand a year, let's say you made 500,000. And so I love asking people this. I'm like, okay, out of the 500 grand, how much do you have? And,
Lord.
and people get uncomfortable, right? But the point is, it's because of that habit of like, okay, I make money, I spend, I make money, I spend. So a simple shift that makes all the difference for the next 10 years, so you don't make it look like the last 10 years, is you get paid, you invest, even if it's small, even if it's, like I said, like 1% of your paycheck, I don't care, but you invest and then you pay your bills.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
they call that pay yourself first. It's such a simple thing. Most people don't do it because they think it's like small and insignificant. But
But
if
it
you
adds up.
long enough, you
Mm-hmm.
build a muscle, kind of like exercise, right? You start building that muscle. You look at
Yeah.
your, you're proud of yourself, right? You're like, okay, a little bit more. And that's how you at least get on the path, like if you're starting from zero. So that's
Yeah.
a tip, yeah.
So has it ever been hard for you to follow your own advice?
Of course, yes.
Okay. The people want to know.
Yeah,
Okay.
of course, of course. No, that's the first thing. Like, I'm very fortunate to have grown up with these kind of teachings, right? Like, I know I
Yeah.
don't learn this stuff, at a young age. But like I said, I started the business and I opened my first account. I remember opening my Roth IRA. I put $25 a month. I was so proud of myself. And yeah, my father would tell me, like, you need to practice what you're preaching. You have to
Yeah.
show people your accounts, like, hey, look what I'm doing. Why aren't you doing it? It's very different, um, to give people advice when, like, you have a different confidence when you've been doing it for yourself and for
That's
your
true.
yeah.
That's true. So, damn, even saying that is just like, girl, Sherelle, get yourself together. Because like I'll save first, and then I'll be like, well, damn, I don't really want to. I don't want to. I just got paid. I don't want to. So I've been there, and I think I told you this like maybe a year ago. I was like, can you help me figure out my own situation? We got to double back on that, okay?
Yeah.
So before I move to the next thing I want to talk about, which is family. I love family, but I
Yeah.
want to ask you, aren't you like technically an author or co-author or a part of?
Yes, yes,
Let's
yes,
talk
yes.
about that. Come
Uh,
on. You're like one of 15 maybe?
yes, yes. So I'm a co-author of my first book. I'm so excited about this. I'll tell you the story how that came about, but it's called Impact Entrepreneur. It was actually
Yes.
released this past weekend. But yeah, so it's basically just like a bunch of really amazing people actually from different walks of life and kind of telling their story, how they got into entrepreneurship and some of the stuff that they faced and how they overcame it. So yeah, an awesome lady, Wendy Bloom Weiss. She asked me if I wanted to be a part of it, and at first I was kind of like, I don't know. Like, I love writing. That's something I would just do for fun, like as a hobby. Um,
Mm.
and yeah, and I've always said, oh, one day I'm gonna be like, living in a mountain and writing a whole bunch of books, and that's all I'm gonna do.
Oh.
So when she asked me, I was like, I feel like I haven't like accomplished so much in my life yet that I should be right. Like, that's something I should do later in life. And she really put it in perspective for me. She was like, you still have a story. Everybody has a story, and you
Yeah.
never know who you could impact with your story that could change their life now. Like, why would you wait when you have the opportunity to help more people now? Like, if you really
Yeah.
weigh the pros and cons, there's no negative, there's no cons to this. Like, there's only stuff you can benefit from in helping other people. So I was like, you're right. Plus, I might not be able to write a whole book, but I could write a chapter. So, yeah.
Okay. I'm so proud of you. Where
Thank
can
you.
people find this book?
Oh, they
Where
can
can we
find
support?
on I know it'll be in Barnes and Noble. Um, yeah, I mean all the major platforms. One thing I know, and this is what I asked Wendy too when she came to me. I was like, "How successful really do you think this book will be?" And she was like, "Well, the last ones we did were all bestsellers." I was like, "All right, let's do it. Let's do
Well, shout out to you, Wendy.
it."
Okay. Hey, girl. I love that. I'm so proud of you. I'm so, so,
Thank
so, so proud of you. Well, make sure y'all pick up that book, okay? Everything will be in the description below. Now let's get into family. I love some family, and we actually bonded over me being Haitian, and you are married to a Haitian man. So let's get into like your journey into, you're dating and now you're married with kids. Because I
Yeah.
thought it was like super fascinating when I met you.
Oh my goodness. Well, Judah's my high school sweetheart. We met, oh goodness, we met when I was 15 years old. Um, Yeah, it's funny actually. We met when I was a sophomore in high school, and then we kind of like knew a lot of the same people, but we were not, interested in each other. Like I had, if you would have told me that I was going to marry Judah Milcar when I was 15, and I'm sure he will tell you the exact same thing. But anyway, this is such a corny story, but I got to tell it like it is because it's the truth. So
Please.
yeah, so we're not even really friends. We just kind of know a lot of the same people, and we met in a class when we were kids. We were 15. When I was
Mm-hmm.
turning 17, right? So this is the summer going into my senior year. I I blew out my birthday candles and I had to make a wish, right? And my wish, I asked God, not for a car or for like the normal things that a teenager asks for. I said, God, let me meet my husband this year. Yeah. So I, and this is the summer. This is the summertime, right?
Okay.
Start my senior year. I get my schedule, and sure enough, like half of, I don't know how many classes you have, but in high school I don't remember, but like half the classes Jude was in. I go to the first class, he's there. Like we're in all these classes together, so we're kind of like not forced, but of course now we're seeing each other more. Next thing you know, we start talking, exchange phone numbers, and I was like, oh my god, I didn't know. If you know Jude, his personality his personality is very much, and it's funny, my daughter's the same way. Like, you don't get to know him right away. Like, he looks almost very serious, kind of like scary to some people. Very like
Mm-hmm.
almost
Mm-hmm.
intimidating. And then when he decides to let you in, like he's gonna observe you, and if he likes you, he'll let you in. He is the funniest, silliest. Like we just
Hilarious.
clicked, right? So anyway, so we started dating, and yeah, fast forward. So now we didn't get married for a long time. We actually got married in 2018. So this year will be 6 years married, and God, 16 years together.
Together. Out of
Yeah.
all the things you would ask God for in high school, you're telling me you want to get married in a year? What?
And it's funny.
First of all,
It's not that I wanted to get married that year. It was
that's
like,
what you asked for? You
no,
was
no, no.
like, Lord, let me meet my husband.
I wanted to meet my husband. I wanted to meet the man that I would one day marry.
Okay, you were specific. You was very specific with that. Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I said, like, let me meet my future husband this year. I want
But
to meet
what
him.
made you ask that? Like, did something happen where you were like, I'm tired of these boys and my heart's broken and I'm ready to be my man. At least let me just meet him.
The thing is, see, this is what's so funny that like doesn't add up. Okay, it's very, what's the word? Paradoxical or ironic or whatever. Um, I was very into sports. I was really into school. I was in the chorus. I actually sang too. And I was like, I don't want a boyfriend. Like all through high school, I didn't want a boyfriend. I didn't. My older sister would always say, like, oh, when you go to college, you don't want to have a boyfriend because, like, boyfriends will make you stay in your dorm and not get to go out and have fun and meet people. Like, you don't want to have that. You don't have, so I was always like, I'm not going to have a boyfriend. I'm not going to have a boyfriend. But I think I don't know. I think in a lot of ways I'm like my mom, and I always wanted to, like, subconsciously I wanted to be like my mom. My parents got married very young. My mom. This is very ironic. My mom met my dad when she was 15, and
Wow.
they were married by the time she was 17. So I think I like subconsciously I was like, okay, yeah, I may not be want to be dating and all that stuff, but like I want to at least meet the man that I'm going to spend my life with. And like I want to know, like I just want to know now. I don't know. I know that's kind of like
Wow.
doesn't add up, but at that age, for some reason, that's what I wanted.
Listen, the Lord don't make no mistakes, okay? The Lord don't make no mistakes. And wow, talk about a direct connection and like, your prayer went VIP. Like, all right, bet. So now you guys have two beautiful children, one on the way. Super excited. So I just had some questions for you because
Uh,
I see you and Jude's dynamic, and y'all, he really is that funny. Like, really is that funny. But I also remember when we were sitting down at the table at the content creator event, we started talking about your daughter, and you were just like asking questions about like her hair,
yeah,
and you are in a biracial relationship. It's such a beautiful relationship. Your kids are gorgeous. And I thought it was really dope that you even asked me that question, because you didn't, you obviously don't have like the kinky thick hair. So even to ask that, like, okay, I want to put myself in a position to make sure baby girl is good, you know?
right.
So, yeah, my question, where is my question? Two things. What is it like adapting the Haitian culture? Like, what is that like?
Okay. Well, okay, I will say this. I really hope I articulate this correctly. We're all very like a lot more similar than we think. You know, I think, and don't get me wrong, like we celebrate our differences and all that stuff. But as far as like adapting the culture, I noticed a lot more similarities than I did differences. So just like between our family dynamic, his family dynamic, like how they're tight knit and so are we. The foods that we eat. I mean, like I don't know. It's like I know that's probably not the answer you were looking for, but
No,
it's what.
I want your
Yeah.
answer. There's no perfect answer to nothing.
Yeah, it was never like a big struggle or anything like that. I think also my personality is that I'm curious. Like I don't have a problem, just like you said, I don't have a problem asking questions because I know it's coming from a good,
Yeah.
not like I'm not uncomfortable. People used to ask, like I remember when we were dating, um and we like I would go to family functions, and yeah, I might be the only like white person in the room, and I would get.
Latina, okay? You are
Yeah.
full blown
Oh, I mean,
Latina. Okay.
Latina and proud, spicy Latina. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like that. We're very similar, right? You guys,
We are more alike than you think. Yeah.
yeah, we eat tostones. You guys eat bonapese, right?
I was gonna ask you, like, what is one of your favorite Haitian dishes?
Oh my God, I love soup joumou. I love grill. I love what do you call it? I don't want to screw it up, but the black rice.
Dewey John John.
Yes, I love that.
Yes.
That.
That's why you're like, when I say we're more alike than you think, like, even
Yeah.
your appetite be crazy. Like,
Yeah.
we've been at events, y'all, and she just like me. What do they have at the table? Okay, what are we even eating? And is there a drink to wash it down?
But yeah, I like I said, I think there's nothing wrong with being curious, and like I'm never gonna be uncomfortable in a room with people who might look different than me. If any
Mm-hmm.
if there's things I don't know, I'm gonna ask questions, like the stuff with my daughter's hair or whatever. Like I've learned so much. I'm still learning
Yeah,
with
yeah.
that. Yeah, but you don't know if you don't ask. So yeah.
That's true. So, what has motherhood like been for you thus far? You know, you're two in and third on the way. What has that been like? Because I'm not a mama yet, but I live vicariously through all the moms, and auntie life is hard. So, what has been some of the challenges? Let's start with the challenges first.
Yeah, yeah. Oh boy. Well, okay. So, whew, where do I begin? Well, here's the thing. Before you become a mom, you kind of just do whatever you want to do, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
even like before you get married. I remember when we first got married, we said, "Oh, we're gonna like get to know each other and like travel and do all the things, and maybe we'll have kids like a year from now." Sure. It was like I do pregnant. Okay, so so like that was a whole thing because we were learning each other. And you're like, oh, well, you've been together this long and you're learning each other. Well, it's different when you get married. We're very, 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 especially me, like I was very traditional that we didn't live together until we got married. So,
Oh,
yeah. So
okay.
here I was learning how to live with this guy, learning this guy. I'm pregnant, and that comes with all of its, stuff, um, challenges or whatever, and then have this baby. So now I'm like still kind of adjusting to married life and now adjusting to motherhood. And up until then, it was like I'm a career woman. Like I work. That's all I do. I love working. I love my clients. If they need me at 9 o'clock at night, I'm going to help them. But now I'm like, I can't just do what I want. Like, I have to think of these other people that my decisions affect, right? Like my husband, my baby, whatever. And I remember that being really tough. And my mom, she gave me great advice. My mom's amazing. She's,
Tell us, share some advice that Mama gave,
yeah,
please.
my mom, I remember calling her and I'm like, Mom, how did you do this? Like, this is impossible. When you have your first baby, it's the biggest adjustment with the first. I think if anybody's listening to this and it's your first baby, like, you're going to be okay. Just go with it. Like, it's a really tough adjustment, but time really does change things. Like, you improve, you get better. And I remember calling my mom crying. I was so frustrated. And she was like, listen, if you do all things, because this is what I was complaining about. I was complaining that like I'm like, man, am I ever gonna be able to do anything for myself? All I have to do all day is for this baby, for this man I'm married, and just complain. And she was like, if you do all things from a place of love, it's going to always be easier for you. Like you're
Wow.
gonna be able to get and she's very spiritual. So she's like, think of, Jesus and what everything that Jesus does did for us from a place of love.
Yes.
And so even now, like sometimes now I have to think of that. I'm like, okay, I'm tired. I worked all day. I don't feel like doing these things. I might not feel like, whatever, like cooking or doing the dishes. But it's like, okay, I'm doing this out of love. I'm doing this out of love. And it's so true that when you put things like in that perspective, not just in your marriage and in your family, but like in your business and the things that you don't feel like doing, but it's going to impact other people positively, do it from love. And you see how like your whole attitude will change.
I don't
Yeah.
know why I started getting teary-eyed. Whoa. Because you know how you can be very selfish in a sense of like, I just want to do my own thing. I just want to lay here. Even when I'm watching my nieces and they're like running rampant, I'm just like, oh, I'm so tired. And I did not pop these kids out, but it's my responsibility. And just hearing your mom give you that advice of do it from love.
Yeah.
Like, that could have made me cry. And I have to always remember that when I want to be selfish, when I want, so thank you, Mama,
Right.
for that. Cause that was a
Yes.
gem.
Mama
I
Carmen, she has a lot of good. She's the kind of person, and like we love doing events and parties and things like that. And I think I get that. I also definitely get that from my mom. But my mom will do things and like host everybody, and she will be the last to eat. She'll be like she will just take care of everybody, and she gets like a genuine joy from everybody else having a good time and everything like that. Because everybody asks, they're like, "How do you do this?" And you don't get frustrated, you don't complain, you don't look
yeah.
tired. And she says that like it's coming from a good place. It's me loving on other people fills me up at the same time. So
Yeah.
anyway.
I mean, it sounds like she has a strong faith and she's
Oh,
very spiritual. So how has that impacted you as, from a child to a young woman to a whole like grown ass woman? Like what is your how do you continue to stay grounded in your faith?
mm,
Considering you have so many things to juggle.
mm. Well, yeah, I think making time. Okay, let me make sure I understand. You're saying staying grounded in your faith
Yeah.
while
Yeah, because
things.
I'm
How do you?
sure it has to be such a in a sense roller coaster. Your mom is telling you to do things out of love. I mean, I
Right.
can only speak for myself where I'm like, I don't want to do anything out of love right now. I just want to be selfish in a sense,
Yeah.
you know? So like, but having to go back to what would Jesus do? You know, what would Jesus do? Like,
Yeah.
so how has your faith kept you sane through this whole
Oh boy.
process?
I think if you make time, and by the way, I'm not like, I'm definitely a work in progress when it comes to my faith, my spirituality. I go to church every Sunday, right? But I make time for prayer, time to be uh, like alone with God, and I think that along with, again, this is something I learned from my parents, especially my mom, like if you really practice positive thinking, po- feeding your mind positivity, it's like a muscle, it grows. And you get better at handling. In fact, I actually just read this the other day. I hope I don't screw this up, but when you're somebody who thinks very positive, like a lot of people will say, "Oh, that's like you're delusional. You got to look at the real world. It's not like that." But there's more to it. Like if you're somebody who's always thinking positive, you actually grow the neurons in your left prefrontal cortex of your brain. That's the part of your brain that handles problems, comes up with solutions, um, balances you emotionally. So I really try to practice that. Like I learned that a lot from my mom. That I know if I'm like growing that muscle, I'm literally growing that part of my brain. Like I read this today. So when all that crap comes, whether it's with my family or personal challenges, like I'm equipped to handle that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if I
Absolutely, absolutely. No, absolutely, absolutely. And it's a mindset thing, just like you said
yeah,
earlier. It's all a mindset thing, and
yeah.
for sure. So, what does self care look like for you lately?
Self care, oh my gosh, it's simple. Like, of course, I like to go get my nails done, do massages, my hair stuff. But it can be as simple as like, okay, babe, help me out with the kids. I need a few minutes to myself. Like, I need to run a bath, or I need to just like lay down and be on my phone not doing anything, so I think self-care, at least for me, it's speaking up in those moments that's like I need this time for me. Um and I learned recently, this is something I need to do more often, like going out and just doing things by yourself. Like I love a good date night, I love doing family things, but man, it's fun, at least for me, it's fun to like go and do something by myself. Like
Yeah.
go to a bar and have a drink. Well, not right now, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. You showed me that on
Go,
Instagram. I remember you, I don't know if you texted me or you said it on
yeah,
Instagram, but you were like, I'm out by myself right now and I like it. Like, I'm like, you better, girl. Enjoy.
yeah, like meeting people and just doing like anything. But when you're always with people, kids, husband, whatever, like just doing anything by yourself, it's nice. For me, that's self care. That, at least lately, that's what that looks like.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we are going to wrap up, but I cannot go without talking about your woman's brunch. I cannot wait for your woman's
Ah,
brunch. And I don't know if it's for everybody. So if you didn't get the invite, maybe next time. Okay. Maybe next time. But let's talk a little bit about it. What made you start doing like yearly, annual, at least, woman empowerment brunches?
So this one in particular has been on my heart for a while. It's like I really wanted to do something for moms in business. I love anything that's like a women's empowerment, bringing women together. But I just know, like with my journey, I talked a little bit about when I first got married and having the first baby. It was so hard to find that identity where I'm like, okay, I can be this amazing mom, and I can also be a badass businesswoman too. Like navigating that was such a challenge. And there's so many women that I respect that like I looked at for inspiration and got advice from and tips like that. So the thought of like bringing women together who may be dealing with some of the same challenges, that they can learn from each other, but also like network and be able to help each other grow each other's businesses. Obviously, like that has been on my mind for maybe like 2 years, and I have just put it off and put it off and put it off. So I was like, okay, I'm doing it. Like, enough is enough. I remember hearing, shout out to Cassandra. I remember hearing her
Hey,
at one of
girl.
her events, and she gave this amazing speech about how, like, when you have those thoughts, it's not coming from you. It's literally God placing this idea in your heart, saying like, hey, and if it bothers you, it's because he's like nudging you, like, hey, I'm trying to tell you, you need to do this. I've even heard you say that too. And so
Lord.
literally get emotional listening to her. And I was like, okay, this is it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And then I had some health issues last year, and that was like the perfect excuse to not do it. But it's been nudging me and bothering me. And I freaking always remember Cassandra's speech. So I'm like, okay, God, I'm just going to like, and I've been pregnant, so I've been sick and not feeling well. And I was like, that's also a good excuse to not do this.
Yeah.
But I had this moment where I was just like, if I don't do this now, then the baby's going to come, and then it's going to be another thing. Like, I'm just going to do it.
Yes,
So, yeah.
I'm so proud of you doing it. It's going to be on my birthday weekend. I will be in the building.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. Like, I always see you hosting events like at your house, or just being the hostess with the mostest. So I can't wait to have a front row personal experience. Like, yes, my mimosa, please, and let's talk business. I'm so excited for it. Okay,
Well,
so
let me know some people are so mad at me, and like,
y'all, don't be over here running down on Mariana, okay?
Yeah, if you know my personality is like, I love people, and my nature is to just like, oh, I don't want anybody to be mad at me. I'm working on that. But the truth is, it's my house. I can't have everybody there. Like, I think in the future, not I think, I know in the future we'll continue doing this. I'll probably actually rent a space, and then everybody can come and you can bring your friends. But for now, I have to be a little picky. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. They'll get over it, but they'll be at the next one. And I think I said yearly and annual because I feel like did you do something last year?
So I did something the year before.
That's what it was.
Then I was going to do it last year. And then, like I said, I had some health issues. And so this year I was like, okay, this is it. It's time.
Yeah. Well, blessings that you're feeling better. You just have babies. Yeah. So all things are good?
Yeah. No, everything is good.
So where can people reach out to you when it comes to gaining financial advice, or just needing to have like a mommy talk to relate, or just need a friend?
Yeah.
Where can they reach out?
I'd love to give out my number and all that.
No. There's no description with your number in the bio. We just talking strictly email or socials. Epi, that's it.
Yeah. Social media. I mean, you can find me at the Amilcar Way. I'm sure we'll put all the
for sure
that stuff. But the Amilcar Way. Send me a DM. Yeah, I am very much like, I love meeting people, talking to people. I'm never too cool for school. Okay, like
facts.
DM, we'll talk.
Yeah, facts. I'll put everything in the description, and if you could leave the audience with one of your like mantras or anything that you absolutely live by, what would that be? Like for me, I heard. I remember Imani Cohen said it, and I don't know where she got it from, but I love to say, as long as you got breath, you got options. That is like my mantra. So what is your mantra that you live by?
Oh my God. Okay. I got to work on this. I really need like a cool slang, slogan or something like that. I don't have it, but I will say that lately what I have been living by, and somebody said this to me just this past weekend, and it's been ringing through my brain every day, so I want to share with you guys. She said, sprinkle everything with gratitude. Sprinkle everything with gratitude. And if you put that, you could apply that to so many things. But if you look at like all the crap that happens through each day, if you look for ways to be grateful, at first it's challenging. Like the way she put it to me, she was like, someone could cut you off in traffic and you could like be really pissed off about that. So how could you sprinkle that with gratitude? Well, thank God I have a car. Thank God I'm in a position that I can drive. Thank God that I have, my health and I'm able to go to work and drive. Like when she said that, it wasn't the first time I heard it, but I realized like, man, there's so much throughout the
Yeah.
day that we complain about that
Yeah.
if you just that shift to sprinkle a little gratitude, you're just generally happier, you feel better, and you
Yeah.
attract more positivity in your life. So there it is. Sprinkle everything with gratitude.
And y'all give a round of applause to my boo, my girl, Mariana. Your first podcast. Now, y'all, as always, make sure you go to www.prettygirlprogression.com. You'll have all the details from the daily devotional, the free ebook. You'll catch Mariana here hopefully soon again, when the baby drop, welcome her back. Drop it in the comments that you want her back. And until next time, queens, love yourself.